Hey, it's Rachel, and I have to be honest that I feel like part of my job is to teach you how to motivate your children to do what they're supposed to do. I think that's an important thing that we have to do as parents. And most of us, when we want to motivate our kids to do what they're supposed to do, is we tell them what to do. And some of us may even see their perspective as we're telling them what to do. So we may say something like, I know you're in the middle of playing a game, and then we'll add this pesky word but. So the sentence would be, I know you're in the middle of playing a game, but you have to come to the dinner table. Or it may sound something like, I know you don't want to go to bed right now, but it's bedtime. Or we may say, I know you don't want to study for your vocabulary quiz, but you have to study now anyway. So what happens is that we are actually right in those situations. They do have to come to the dinner table. They do have to go to bed, and they do have to study for their vocabulary quiz. And when we tell them that their perspective doesn't matter, or when we treat them as if their perspective doesn't matter, when we use the word but, which basically implies too bad that you don't want to come to the dinner table, or too bad that you don't want to go to bed, or too bad that you don't want to study for your vocabulary, what they hear is that we don't care. They become resentful and they are less willing to do what they're supposed to do. And that's because for any human being, when we're told or treated as if our point of view doesn't matter, our brain is actually wired to defend that point of view even more. So for example, if someone was mean to you, you went shopping that day and maybe a clerk in a store was mean to you that day and you're telling your friend about it. And your friend says to you, yeah, I know they were mean to you, but you just have to get over it. You'd get more mad, not less mad. And that's because our brain is wired to listen to what's going on inside of us. And I'll talk about why that is from a biological perspective in the next video that I send out. But in the meantime, if we want them to do what they're supposed to do, we have to recognize their perspective and teach them what to do instead. And we have to get rid of that pesky but. So instead of saying, I know you don't want to go to bed, but it's bedtime, which basically says, your perspective doesn't matter, which makes them dig their heels in more, we could say something like, you don't want to go to bed because whenever you lie down and close your eyes, all the bad things that happened that day flood into your brain. Why don't we talk about those bad things that happened today so you can get them out of your brain because you do need to go to bed now, it's bedtime. Or instead of saying, I know you don't want to study for your vocabulary quiz right now, but you have to, which basically says, I don't really care that you don't want to, which makes them resentful and dig their heels in more. We could say something like, you don't like studying because memorizing vocabulary words is very boring. So why don't you set the definitions of those words to the tune of a song you know to make it a little less boring because you do have to study for this vocabulary quiz that you have tomorrow. Now, none of this is meant to be super nice or sweet. All of this is simply meant to understand how the brain works and how to actually, from a biological perspective, motivate cooperation. Because you do have to understand why children are doing what they're doing if you want them to do something different. Now, if you aren't sure why your kids are doing what they're doing, stay tuned for the next video because I'm going to give you a secret to how to figure that out. In the meantime, if you need anything, feel free to email me at rachel@rachel-bailey.com. I'll see you next time.